The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello and welcome to another Open, the one and only show that opens up the Bronx and the world to you. And I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee, and for my man, Darren Jaime. Today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community. And coming up on today's show, we'll let you know how you can obtain free tax services right here in the Bronx. All right? It's important. Tax day is coming up, April 15th. Also, we'll take a good look at the rich history of African-American women in the Bronx. After that, Mark Merkowitz is going to join us to break down the latest in the world of politics. And finally, well, we'll get a review and a preview of a one-woman show. We'll let you know the name of that. It's crazy. All right, we're going to lace you and find out how you can be empowered also. So stay tuned. All this and more is headed your way because we are now open. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B. Catch me on each and every night right after the Quiet Storm with Lenny Green and out in the morning with the Steve Harvey Morning Show and filling in for my man, Darren Jaime. Today is Wednesday, March 12th, and of course, you are watching Open, the one and only live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Tax season is here, and our first guest joins us to fill you in. You got to know. You got to be in the know. We're going to fill you in on the services here in the Bronx. And we welcome Ken Smalls, the Director of Development at Bronx Works. And we welcome you to the show. Nice to see you
Bob,
again.
it's a pleasure. It's been a while, but it's good to see you again.
Yes. The all-important date is coming, April the 15th.
Yes. I know for a lot of people it's a dreaded day, but it's a day that's literally a month away.
Oh, well, people should start getting ready for it now, right? I mean,
If
people
they
have received everything.
gotten ready already, they need to be getting ready now, yes.
Now, how can we build up where we can get refunds? Because you got to look for, a lot of people have to pay, but some people don't have to pay anything and they get money back.
Let me say this, Bob. We cannot, no one who prepares taxes will guarantee you a refund if they're an ethical tax provider. And what Bronx Works has done for a number of years now is we've partnered with a number of institutions, but in particular, one of our sister organizations, the Food Bank for New York, to provide free tax prep services for those who meet the income eligibility requirements. Emphasis on the word free in terms of tax prep assistance. We don't guarantee refunds, but we do provide, we in partnership with the Food Bank, we do provide free tax prep assistance.
Right, but that's a question that everybody asks. Wow, how much am I going to get back? I'm going to do this with my tax refund. So that's the,
it's good that people do think about what they're going to do, assuming that they do receive a refund. And just in light of that, not only to mention the work that we do with the Food Bank, but there are a number of other organizations that we collaborate with. So the Bethex Federal Credit Union, for example, for those who do get refunds and want to do something with them, the Bethex Federal Credit Union has a number of services that they can offer. So if you're looking at starting an individual development account, if you've got some other things that you want to do in terms of asset building, our sister organization, the Bethex Credit Union, can help in terms of that. Wonderful. And of course, the Food Bank can help you get started in terms of the tax prep process itself. And we've been very fortunate because at our Morris Innovative Senior Center at 80 East 181st Street, we've had one of the largest food bank tax prep sites in the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, you were spread out like that. You're doing a lot of wonderful things in our community. How long has Bronx Works been involved in helping people in the Bronx?
We've been, as an organization overall, as you know, in existence for about 40 years. We started in 1972 as the Citizens Advice Bureau. And for about 20 years of that 40-plus years, we've been providing low-income Bronx residents with tax prep assistance. We've been partnering with the food bank now for about 15 years, and the Morris, it's now Morris Innovative Senior Center. It used to be the Morris Neighborhood Center, but that center at 80 East 181st Street is a center that has been facilitating tax prep services now since about 1998.
And all of these services are free, but what are the qualifications to receive some of these services?
In terms of tax prep assistance, the income threshold for families is $50,000. That means if you have an income of $50,000 or less, we can offer free tax prep assistance. If you are a single person, the income threshold is $20,000. And one of the things that the food bank does and we do, in addition to providing free tax prep assistance, is we also do screenings for other benefits for which people may be eligible. So folks may be eligible for food stamps. There may be other subsidies for which they may be eligible. So we do that as well.
Yeah, because people look at it and say, Food Bank of New York. Yeah, we've done a lot of things with them over the years, collecting foods and bringing it to the warehouse and all that stuff in the big truck that comes around and picks up all the food.
Sure.
But how did you guys come together? Food Bank for New York and your organization?
Well, there had been an existence in providing income tax prep assistance, and some years ago that organization was absorbed by the food bank, and as part of the food bank's overall mission in terms of helping to support the economic self-sufficiency of low-income folks, because when you think about it, food is a big piece in the self-sufficiency equation. And when you look at people's consumption patterns, what do they spend a good chunk of their money on? Food. So in terms of mix and purpose, arguably it makes sense for the food bank to be doing this. And we're glad to be a partner with the food bank in this regard as well in terms of other collaborations.
Yeah. What are some of the other collaborations?
One of the other collaborations that we have, for example, is Bronx Works has 2 food pantries that are open to the general public. One located at the Morris Innovative Senior Center, the other located at our Heights Neighborhood Senior Center. Both pantries are open several times a month, at least twice a month. The pantry services are available specifically for seniors, and then at least twice a month the services are available for the general population. In addition, we've done a lot of work with the food bank in terms of promoting nutrition education for young people. As you know, obesity is a major issue here, and we've partnered with the food bank now for about 8-9 years to help promote healthy eating amongst young people.
I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
Do you go into the schools to do this? How's this
The partnership in terms of nutrition education is done in conjunction with after-school programs that we have. So it allows us to engage upwards of a couple of hundred young people during the course of a school year.
Yeah. And of course, you get a lot of kids that get involved, and parents also. How do they find out about this?
Well, the interesting thing is when the children change their habits, it encourages parents to change their habits as well. So kids are great advocates. They're great lobbyists. And when you get them to change their behaviors, oftentimes it's a lot easier to get parents to change theirs.
Yeah, so run it down. You're doing a lot of wonderful programs here in the Bronx.
You know this, Bob.
Yeah. Well, we've seen you out there over the years with your sleeves rolled up, out in the community, working hard. But give us a rundown of some of the things that you're doing again.
Well, one thing that recently happened in terms of Bronx Works, just in terms of a new development, we have established, I should say we've received a contract to operate A new community center. It's called the Classic Community Center.
See, I didn't know about that one.
You should have.
I'm finding out. Tell us more.
We started the operations of the Classic Community Center literally at the start of the calendar year. And it's down on 156th Street near Morris Avenue. It's a wonderful space. It's got an NBA-sized basketball court. Wow. It's got about half a dozen activities rooms. It's a space that you have to come out and see.
Yeah.
And now that we're a couple of weeks away from spring, one of the things that the Classic Community Center has is 35 gardening beds. So we're hoping that as we get into spring and summer, that we'll actually be able to plant some herbs, some spices, some lettuce, so that we can not only have a community space where people engage in recreational activities, but to this whole point about nutrition, it'll be a space where people can eat or eat the food that they grow.
And it's important too, because
Yes.
we have to continue to create the awareness that eating healthy living is important in our communities, because it may not affect you so much when you're young, but down the line, everything starts to catch up with you.
That's why we try to start young, to educate people when they're early in life, because the habits that you take on as a young person are likely to be the habits that you continue as you mature.
Sure, and it contributes to degenerative diseases like diabetes and hypertension and all those other ugly names that come along with it.
It's one of the reasons why we have 35 gardening beds at the Classic Community Center that we hope to start planting pretty soon. Springtime, as you know, is literally a couple of weeks away, so that's something that we look to start very quickly.
You can't beat that. Give us some more information on where we can get information on what you're doing.
Now, regarding the tax prep assistance, if folks have questions or need information about that specifically, they can call area code 718-933-5300. That's the telephone number to the Morris Innovative Senior Center, which is the location of our primary tax prep assistance. If they want general information about BronxWorks, they can email us at info@bronxworks.org, or they can call area code 646-393-4000.
I got it all here, right here. Okay.
I see you're writing away.
Yes, I got it. 718-933-5300 for tax information at the Senior Center, right?
Morris Innovative Senior Center.
And info at bronxworks.org. That's just my writing, that's all. Or you can call 646-393-4000.
You got it.
All righty. Another zero. All right, Ken Smalls, thank you so much. Ken Smalls, everybody give him a big round of applause. Director, Development, BronxWorks. Working together with the Food Bank of New York, doing some wonderful things in our community, and we love it. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you
Always.
so much. We got to take a quick break, but up next, we'll highlight the Bronx history and culture. But first, let's take a good look at the Science Fest, held right here at Lehman College. We'll be right back.
Every year, Lehman College celebrates the Bronx Sci Fest, an event where high school students compete to win a 4-year scholarship. Let's take a look. For the second consecutive year, Lehman College was invited by the Intel Corporation to participate in its International Science and Engineering Fair.
The importance of science has grown significantly, and there's a real need to develop more talent for the United States, for New York State, for the Bronx.
So I think it's a great opportunity for high school students to learn more about how research is done, how to develop hypotheses, how research is actually done in a laboratory environment.
And it's just a wonderful collaboration to see students be given an opportunity to conduct actual research, genuine research.
I'm extremely proud. These kids are amazing. They have been working since end of August, beginning of September on these projects with their mentors. They spend 8 to 10 hours a week here doing the projects. It takes time out of anything that they'd want to do after school, they've dedicated themselves to coming here. So it's been really special.
When you get to talk and speak with these students and you see their stories and all the work that they've done over the past year, it's pretty incredible, and it's a really big treat for me to be here.
It was great. It was really exciting to see the excitement of the students, their motivation to get involved in science projects, and the different array of topics that were covered. It was really nice.
My experience overall, it's been pretty great. I have an awesome professor. His name is Dr. Racklin at Lehman College, and he's supportive through everything.
Well, in the future, I plan to go on pre-med, so that's my kind of the future plan. And also, I'm interested in the anti-cancer research, so I'll definitely continue that.
And I was really excited to win this award. I was not expecting it, but I feel like Nora and I deserve it. We've been working hard. We've learned a lot, and we owe it all to our mentor, Dr. Swanee. She really helped us a lot, and I'm just really excited. I can't believe it.
I'm really excited to be part of the Bronx Office. We had a lot of fun working together and working on our project. I enjoy it, and I hope after this, when we get into NICEF, that we win. If you want to enter this, I encourage you to do so. I wasn't first interested in the science field, but after doing this, I'm really interested in studying this. I had a lot of fun.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee for Darren Jaime. And our next guest writes the Bronx River Sankofa. Yes. And he has a blog also. And he joins us today to share more about his latest projects highlighting African Americans and women's history. We welcome Morgan Powell back to the studio. Now, this is women's history. And
That's right.
You highlight a lot of the women right here out of the Bronx.
I do.
How did you discover all of these great Bronx women?
Well, I got a little bit of help. People know me for discovering and putting together new research on the Bronx River's African American history, and several of the people we focus on are Bronxites, people who live in the Bronx now, have contributed to the Bronx in the past. But I also discovered as a Bronx Community College alumnus that right across the street at PS15, there's these things called the PS15 Hall of Fame gates. It's really big, it's really beautiful, and I have a picture if you want to see it. Gates. So people know about the Hall of Fame, and that's really old, and you walk through it, and it's really big. But the Hall of Fame gates are right across the street on Andrews Avenue, and you can actually see over at least 18 women who were important in American history.
Wow. Name a few.
Sure. So you have Sally K. Ride, the first woman astronaut. You have Harriet Tubman. You have Mary McLeod Bethune, who formed African American College in Florida, and many, many others.
Yeah. And Sotomayor.
Well, these gates were installed in 1992. Yeah, so people who became famous before then are in it.
Okay, all right. And so now you can add more people to it.
You certainly can add your own. And that's actually one of the themes. I mean, I'm not trying just to get people to zoom in on these particular women, but let this be your portal. So discover Women's History Month through these few examples, but there are so many others.
Yeah, and you've been reaching back for so long. We call you the Sankofa Man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
What is your blog all about?
Sure. Well, it's a new way for people to learn about local African American history. People already know about the PowerPoint talks, the walking tours, and formerly the Facebook page. But I'm really transitioning into this blog where I'm going to try to post about one article per month, and every time there'll be a different theme. And being African American History Month last month, and then Women's History Month this month, I focus on a lot of women. So I did one blog just about the Hall of Fame gates, which has 18 women. And then my most recent blog is all about women who you can go through each neighborhood along the Bronx River and identify really important women. And actually, there are books written about a lot of them, and that's what I have here on the table.
What do we have?
Sure. So we're Bronx focused, but just to start on the Westchester border, Malcolm X's third daughter, Ilyasa, actually wrote a memoir.
Oh, Ilyasa.
Yeah, and she's really important here in the Bronx because she's one of the executives of the Black Male Initiative for CUNY, which is active right here at Lehman. And she's just an incredible motivational speaker. And then coming down the river, at Woodlawn Cemetery, you have one of the two first African-American female millionaires, Madam C.J. Walker.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then, this is somebody people are not going to know, but there's a book written about a very important African-American financier, real estate magnate, and manufacturer from the early 20th century.
Yes.
And his daughter wound up coming to New York City and living in a Mitchell-Lama right off Allerton Avenue, and had a distinguished career in social services. So she wrote a book about her family, and that's what this is.
Wow.
And then, you know, hidden in plain sight, the black people who do great things that we don't know about. So Therese Lamel used to be the art director of the New York Botanical Garden. And these are just two books that she did the editing for. And the graphics. And then people who, you know, were around in the 90s as adults will remember Having Our Say, the very successful book and Broadway play. Yeah. But people may have forgotten that there's a great story in this book about the desegregation of the New York City public school system right on Fordham Road.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that took place in the 60s, right?
This particular incident happened in the 1930s.
Whoa.
She was a pioneer. Yeah.
Desegregation in the 1930s?
1930, yeah. She was the first African-American home economics teacher in all of New York City. Yeah. And then we have two more books here. We have a book about the life of Lorraine Hansberry, who was not just a playwright, but also a major funder of civil rights efforts. And of course, she's
young, gifted, and black.
She's memorialized in the West Farms neighborhood. And then moving down the river, you have here Tanya Fields, who's a great writer, and she contributed an essay to this book. And it's all about her work, which is very successful, expanding all the time, to get women in that community into yoga, meditation, collective daycare, starting their own businesses, and eating a healthier diet.
Wow, so you're a wealth of information. You spend a lot of time in a library, of course, or on your computer.
I do, but a lot of this, I got to tell you, is just talking to people.
Yeah.
The internet's great, but it doesn't replace having your own personal networks and listening to people. You got to be a good listener to do research.
Yeah, and you ever talk to any of the seniors? The seniors are like
absolutely
laced up with a lot of a wealth of information.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important that we, you know, take advantage of the wealth that our seniors give us, because actually, Miss Madru Chavers, who wrote this book, she passed away over a decade ago, but it's really because of people like her that the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture even exists.
Wow.
Because she
Tell us
was,
about that.
Yeah. So the book is mostly about her dad, but she does talk a little bit about her life toward the end of the book. And again, this is somebody who was part of that generation of Southerners who came to the North and the Midwest from the 30s through the 70s for education, for expanded economic opportunity, and they did really amazing things. Yeah. And they built civil society as we know it today, and they expanded civil rights right here in New York City.
And how was she linked up to the Schomburg?
She actually, as a senior social worker, she had a substantial income, and she actually gave a ton of money to the Schomburg.
There you go.
Yeah, so people like her kept the Schomburg going, so that when I was coming up, I had somewhere to go to learn about my history.
And that's right across the street from Harlem Hospital, so you can go there. Still, wealth of information right there. Now, how has social media helped you in everything that you're doing here today?
Wow. Well, you know, social media is important.
Because you're blogging and you're doing
I am blogging. I'm hoping that people will follow the research, because I can't come on BronxNet every time I do a blog. So I'm hoping that people will find the Bronx River Sankofa blog, and they can use social media. But my Facebook page is actually much easier to find with a search. And then the most recent posting is about the blog. So just subscribe to it, and that way you'll get a post every time I put it up.
All right, where do we go? What do we do?
Sure.
Give us information on what to do, what to say, how to be.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, if someone does an internet search engine search for Bronx River Sankofa, they're going to find a ton of stuff. They're going to find the blog, but they're also going to find videos. They're going to find maps, all kinds of stuff. But I would say go to the Facebook page if you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way, and the most recent post is the blog, and just subscribe from there.
And you're going to continue to blog about Women's History Month, right, up until the end of March?
I sure will.
Yeah. And then what happens after that?
Well, Bronx River Sankofa has covered a lot of topics. So we're going to go into architecture and public art in the Bronx River, from Soundview to Wakefield.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know about the Bronx River. Tell us a little bit about that.
Wow. Well, you know, it's a really interesting place. The blog actually has two different posts about women's history and quite a bit on African American history. The post right before the women's history post is all about how African Americans have interacted with the natural world on the Bronx River, and it's deep and it's fascinating, and there's some surprises. I go all the way back to the colonial period.
Oh.
I talk about things that a lot of people don't know. For example, African Americans were very important to running the mills that created the wealth for the early colonial Bronx. Where you go to Van Cortlandt Park, the Tibbetts Brook was dammed, and there was a mill there for grain and for timber. But that was true on the Bronx River too. When you're at the Bronx Zoo, that was a site of the Delancey estate, and African Americans, enslaved mind you, but African Americans actually ran the mill and generated huge wealth, and that was what made that a viable community.
The Delancey estate.
Correct.
Did the same people who they named Delancey Street after downtown?
Right. That's right. And there's actually a very tiny Delancey Street here in the Bronx too, in the Van Ness neighborhood.
Yeah, look at that. So, but all of this was like farmland.
That's correct.
Downtown, lower Manhattan was like the big city, the big hub. And everything up above, maybe Midtown was farm. Is that right?
Yeah, it's true. And then that changed over time, and African Americans were part of that transition. Everything from a very local economy to where people made a lot of their own stuff, even to the beginning of the industrial period. And my blog actually takes you through each and every period up to the present day.
Yeah. What else can we expect from the Bronx River Sankofa? Sankofa, of course, means reaching back, and you've been doing that for many years now.
Well, thank you. You know, I threw people a curveball.
Yeah.
I like to give people something new and something they don't necessarily expect. So the very first post, which has if you want to talk about social media, it's got over 120 Facebook shares. The very first post on the blog is actually Latinos on the Line. So I took the same concept of looking at African Americans for every neighborhood on the Bronx River in the Bronx, and I apply it to the number 6 train. So I highlight Latinos who have made a big impact on creating a sense of place for every stop on the 6 train in the Bronx.
Every stop for the 6 train.
Yeah. From Pelham Bay Park all the way to Mott Haven, you can identify several, but my blog just looks at a few for every single train stop, and it's very popular.
So every single train stop has what attached to it?
They are all places in the Bronx where Latinos have made a huge impact on creating an identity and for landmarking those locations.
And that starts from where to where?
It's every single train stop. So, for example, the first train stop, Pelham Bay Park.
Yes.
There have actually been a number of amateur archaeologists and historians who have documented the Native American heritage, for example, of Pelham Bay Park. And the most recent person who's done it in a big way is Jorge Santiago of Co-op City.
Ah, look at that. Look at that. And Co-op City, of course, was swampland before. That was
sure was.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a playland or something over there?
That's true. And that actually ties back into the women's history theme, because Karen Washington, who's featured in both blogs, talks about, because all this stuff has links.
Yes.
So to help you learn about all these people, you can click on some of the links to learn more. So there's a video where Karen Washington, who's a major advocate of healthy food here in the Bronx, she talks about not being able to go to Freedom Land in the early days.
That's what it was called.
Yes.
Freedom Land.
Because a lot of African Americans felt like it was not for them.
Yeah, see that? Well, where can we go to get more information on your blogs and all the wonderful things that you're doing? Because you're a wealth of information. You can sit there and just go on and on forever.
Well, thanks so much. I would say in any search engine, just type in quotation marks, Bronx River Sankofa, and you'll find it all.
Bronx River Sankofa. Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Morgan Powell, blog, Bronx River Sankofa. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
and
Bob.
leave these books here. I want to read them all.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a quick break right here, but coming up next, we'll sit down with Mark. He's an analyst, and we'll talk more about what he's going to be doing, okay? Let's take a good look at the prelude to Urban Dance Competition. Check it out.
The 2014 Prelude Urban Dance Competition took place in Lovinger Theater. Dance crews competed for a $1,000 cash prize and a chance to represent the United States in the International Dance Competition in Las Vegas. Dance crews from all over New York and other northern states came to show the sold-out audience what their cities are made of. Players, the professional step crew from the Bronx, was featured in this year's Prelude. They brought a whole lot of energy and comedy to their show and really pumped up the crowd.
We represent the boogie down Bronx, New York.
And tell me, what do you guys bring into the table? Have you guys competed before?
We're not competing. We are a professional step team. That means we've done this like all over the world, all over the city. Stomp the Yard, River Fundamental Movies, Showtime at the Apollo, America's Got Talent. Like, we do this as a profession. So we came here just to represent the Bronx, let everybody know that step is here.
The fiercest dance crew of the night was Cosmic Edge from New Jersey. Between the ages of 7 and 16, they were the youngest dance crew of the night. They have been a part of the dance competition, The Pulse, and spent hours rehearsing after school.
Well, before we come to dance, we always do homework to make sure. And sometimes we'll bring our homework over to dance, and when we have a break, we'll do it.
Organized Chaos from Queens, New York fused together old and new hip-hop to create their own unique dance style.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to show old school hip-hop and new school hip-hop and how they met over the years, and try to just blend the two with our dance.
Beacon Dance Company from Manhattan got their inspiration from YouTube videos about breakdancing and crumping. This is their first time in a dance competition.
Besides them being breakdancers, I'm actually a crumper, which is also another underground style because it's more so on the West Coast. And I've also done the same thing, like look at YouTube videos, and I've actually learned by watching other music videos.
Expressive Movements from Massachusetts claims that they started the Miley twerk phenomenon.
We taught her how to twerk. She came to us, she was like, can you guys teach me how to twerk? We're like, sure. We guess. And then she's famous because of us.
All of the crews showed us what they're made of on and off the stage. But in the end, the judges could only pick one winner. Third place went to Chimera Concept. Second place went to Creative Monster, and the winner of the 2014 Prelude Urban Dance Competition.
We really wanted to come and mark our territory. We really want to make a statement, and I think obviously we did.
You don't understand how bad we deserve this.
Humble.
We deserve this. We are family. We went through ups and downs, and we're still here.
After all the fun and excitement, we wrapped up the night with the host of the Prelude Urban Dance Competition, Hip Hop Theory, the company.
Hip Hop Theory is a nonprofit organization that's been around for nearly 10 years. Started at Lehman College, and we always keep coming back because you always got to go back to your roots. You can reach us at hiphoptheorythecompany@gmail.com. That's also an easy outlet to us. We're always checking our emails constantly because you never know who's hitting you up the next time.
Well, there you have it, you guys. This was Prelude Urban Dance Competition 2014. For BronxNet, this is Issa Marie Rivera.
Being a dad can be tough.
No. What do you mean she's not coming?
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
But when you're willing to do anything,
It is I, Cruz Zinco Bell. Okay, time for cake.
it's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee, for Darren Jaime. Our next guest is a political analyst and SUNY Maritime professor, Mark Meyerowitz. He's here with us today. He's going to break down the latest headlines in our national and international news. Mark, welcome to the show. I haven't seen you in a while.
It's great to be here, Bob. It's a pleasure.
It's nice to see you. Now, let's start off with the conflict in Russia with the Ukraine.
Right. So basically, we have an international conflict between the United States and Russia over the Crimea, which is part of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And basically, Russia has invaded Crimea and sent its soldiers in there.
Are they going to carve that out and put it back in?
Well, they've announced a referendum, I think on Sunday. But the United States is condemning that and saying that's bogus because basically the Russians are in there and they're controlling everything.
Well, what can we do about that? Sanctions?
Well, it's a very good point, Bob, and I think we have very limited options. Russia is a main exporter of gas, energy to Europe. And as long as they have, and even in Turkey, which I study very intensively, these countries are being very careful because Russia can just turn off the faucet and they're not going to get their energy, and that's going to be very bad.
So
and I wanted to add one thing, if I may. Russia's got a port, a base, troops They have the whole 9 yards there.
Done deal?
So it's almost a done deal. I mean, you asked about the sanctions. I mean, the U.S. President Obama has been threatening sanctions. The kind of sanctions that they're thinking about are sanctions against the leadership in Russia to prevent them from getting visas. They like to travel around the world, or the Ukrainian leadership that is pro-Russian. They like to travel to Vegas. They like to go to London, maybe to stop them from traveling. And also that doesn't do too much. And maybe some asset freezes. Cut off the money. Basically, the United States could hurt the Russian economy. It could also hurt American companies that do business with Russia and with the Ukraine. And a lot of subcontractors and contractors with companies doing business are worried now, we're going to get stuck in this net and we're going to be in trouble. So we can do it, but then, every action has a reaction. So, you start pushing at the Russian bear. The Russian bear gives you a hug, and it's a real tight hug, and there are a lot of problems involved.
Yeah. Do you see this as another Cold War starting up?
Well, I mean, it's something like a Cold War. We don't have a communist country there. We don't have a Soviet Union. We don't have a Soviet Union with all sorts of satellites. But what we do have, I think, is the potential for a real disagreement. By the way, President Obama and Vladimir Putin don't get along, and that's, international politics can be about troops and tanks and gas and all, but if the two guys don't get along, that's a problem. So Obama gets on the telephone with Putin, and then he issues a statement of about a whole page, what he talked about, and all the things he told Putin and how he can't do this. And then Putin issued his statement, which is about 2 sentences, which basically was, hey, I'm going in there to help Russians, period. End of discussion. So I don't think we have much leverage in that.
You think Russia's trying to get back all of the countries that it lost while it was the Soviet Union?
I think you're right, Bob. I mean, they started this gambit in Georgia where they invaded and took these 2 sections called Abkhazia and South Ossetia.
That was during the Bush administration.
That's right. And basically, United States couldn't do anything. Bottom line is, people say, go to the United Nations. Let's do something. Can't go to the United Nations. Why? Because Russia has a veto in the United Nations. That's the same reason why the United Nations hasn't been able to do anything against Syria, because Russia has a veto. So that's not an option. Are we going to send American troops, NATO troops, to face Russian troops in the Crimea? That's a no-brainer. We're never doing that. So with no boots on the ground and with limited options, and the United States just announced, Hagel announced, we're going to cut back our defenses to pre-World War II levels. Now, if you're going to say that, Bob, then you're not going to be credible, and I keep repeating the Russian bear. The Russian bear listens to force. If you're saying you're going to be weak, the Russians understand. And
let's be strong. They're going to be weak.
Exactly. And they just had the biggest show on earth next to Ringling Brothers, which was the Olympics. They had the Sochi Olympics. Putin looked great. He was there at the Olympics. He had a beautiful international show.
But notice, nothing took place until after the Olympics.
That's right. Exactly. But probably they were planning it. While he was at the Olympics, he was probably on his phone tweeting, get ready to invade the Ukraine.
So look at this over here, because we're doing this over here, but you can't see it.
That's right.
Look at this. This is the main focus right about now.
I think that's a very perceptive point. It's all about distraction.
So what's going to happen? What's the outcome? What's going to be the outcome of this?
Well, the outcome of it will be probably that Russia will end up with at least the indirect control of the Crimea, with an understanding that it is not going to seek to take control of the rest of Ukraine. That's the worry, that, as you say, Russia now wants to get back all the chess pieces that it had at the time of the Soviet Union.
So this is just the beginning. Well, Georgia was the beginning. This is a continuation. The beginning,
but they do have a port. They have a naval presence in that Sevastopol, and that's the same thing in Syria. Russia has a port in Tartus. They will not give up their influence in terms of having the ability to project their power.
Are they installing a lot of Russians in the areas and then creating referendums to...
Well, there are a lot. There's basically 60% ethnic Russians in Crimea. It's already there. And how did they get there? The Soviet Union moved ethnic Russians into Crimea and then expelled the Crimean Tatars, who are Muslims, and were persecuted terribly, terribly. And their story is a travesty of what Stalin did to the Crimean Tatars. They were expelled. Some of the Crimean Tatars came back to the Ukraine, came back to the Crimea after Ukraine became independent, in the hope that things would turn around. And by the way, what's happening, an understory that is not reported, is the whole relationship of what's happening with the Russians and provocations against minorities in the Crimea. There's a lot of provocation going on. And maybe it's Russians, maybe it's Ukrainians, nobody knows, but it's a mess. And how how we do the unraveling of that is it's hard to
Well, I'm sure you're going to keep up on it, to keep abreast of what's happening, and come back and let us know.
Okay, I would love to do that.
Let's move on and talk about Debo Adegbile.
Right.
Tell us about
President Obama has a few problems on Capitol Hill, and one of them is the nomination of Debo Adegbile to be the head of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. The problem is that Mr. Adegbile, when he was in the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, represented a man by the name of Abu Jamal, who was involved in the killing of a police officer in Philadelphia. As a result of that, now we have midterm elections coming up in 2014. So, basically the rule, it would have been an easy nomination to pass. The Democrats have a majority, but a number of Democratic senators said, I'm vulnerable in the midterms. I cannot vote for this nomination. So the nomination failed. So he's also got that problem. He's got that problem in Obamacare. Obamacare just didn't take off in the way that he predicted. And he's got his midterm elections coming in 2014.
And some people are saying that Obamacare has really taken hold now, more so now than it did.
Well, it had a lot of problems at the beginning. More or less, the website didn't work. The website crashed. Big problems. They actually stated now today that 4.2 million people have signed up, which is below what the president expected, but sort of increasing, as you say, in terms of gaining hold. But Obamacare is sort of, I need to be very blunt about it, sort of a blight on President Obama because of all the problems with the website. So that's a problem for him. But then at the same time, he announced an increase in the minimum wage.
Let's talk about that.
And that's a very good political maneuver on the part of the president, which is going to help a lot of people who have low pay levels to get overtime pay, which they cannot get at the present time.
Yes. And let's switch up. Now, in Colorado, some of these shops are making over $1 million a week.
Exactly.
We're talking about the legalization of marijuana. Cash.
This is not medical.
How do you get this money into the banks?
Well, this is a problem. This is not medical marijuana. This is recreational marijuana.
Recreational marijuana.
And the money you're talking about...
Not for medicinal purposes, but for recreation.
No, I mean, in many states, medicinal marijuana is permissible. But here you've got really the game changer, and it's all cash money. Cash. They're taking cash money and they're taking sacks of cash to the bank. The banks are worried because they're worried that the federal government's going to come in and seize the proceeds of that money because it's against federal law.
Anything over $10,000 they're going to look at. So you're putting $1 million a week in the bank.
And it's cash. You know, it's cash money. And what's happening, a lot of these venture capitalist investors are looking at Colorado for the potential of raising big bucks, as you say. And the state has a 36% tax rate on these revenues. So, you'd call it a win-win, but I think it's really, another game changer in American society, like the approval of same-sex marriage, which is now in a number of states, and the bans against same-sex marriage are being overturned in many states by federal judges. So you see society changing dramatically from where we were 20 years ago, where, marijuana was a dangerous drug, and marriage was between a man and a woman, and the federal government said so. Now, same-sex marriage is becoming legal, and people are going for pot tours in marijuana, and it became really like a non-issue, which is I think it's actually, if you step back a little bit, I think it's a little surprising.
More people coming from all over the world to go on these pot tours, like if you go like on a tour of a winery.
Exactly. They sit in the limo and they drive around and smoke pot. In fact, they go to the stores and they have varieties of options of things to select, brownies, cookies, pastries. I mean, it's remarkable. If you talk to people in other countries, which I do occasionally, particularly Turkey, and tell them, about the things that we do in this country, they literally look at you and say, "You're kidding me." Same-sex marriage? Marijuana is legal? They have pot tours in this country? You're kidding. You sound like you're crazy or something. But no, that's America.
But what's
America's
scary?
A changer.
All of the money, the bottom line is the money.
That's right. That's right.
Show me the money.
That's right.
So you think a lot of other states are going to adopt the same laws?
I mean, the question is, to what extent, and not under President Obama, unlikely, to what extent would the federal government push back against this? Because the federal government, the Supreme Court has said, has the power to regulate marijuana intrastate, inside states. So if it spreads a lot, there could be, if there's a change in the administration, if there's a Republican president, if there is a Republican control of the Senate and the House, maybe there'll be more pushback. But right now, I don't think the federal government under President Obama and Attorney General Holder are going to be pushing back against Colorado. I don't think so. It's going to be
hard to push back because there's so much money. You were talking
and
about over $1 million a week.
And the taxes. 36% taxes going to the state. All right. There are some jurisdictions in Colorado, some cities and towns that have adopted no marijuana rules. Okay? They've tried to do that. They'll be able to do it on an ad hoc basis. But the money, as you say, Bob, is the big, as you say, show me the money, the big impetus to make this a big investment. Even in other states, people are raising money in deals to invest in the marijuana business.
You've got to come back because you've got to share more on this. This is great.
I agree with you. It's a game changer.
Where can we go to get more information while you're not on the air?
Okay, I have a website. It's www.marowitz.com.
There you go.
All right.
Political analyst and SUNY Maritime professor Mark Marowitz. Thank you so much, sir.
It was
always
a pleasure.
To see you.
A pleasure.
Oh, the information was just, it's
I don't get a round of applause, Bob.
Yes, you do. Give Mark a big round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
Let him hear you. Let him feel you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right here. That's excellent, by the way. Coming up next, we'll take a good look at a vibrant show you won't want to miss.
We have 2 seconds for a photo, or we do it after? We have 2 seconds for a photo?
Yes, we do.
Long before I was in Hollywood, I had a grandmother by the name of Estelle Marie Tanner, positive role models to make sure that I was on the straight path. Big Brothers Big Sisters carefully screens volunteers and places them in long-term mentoring matches with kids who face adversity. With more volunteers, especially men, and more donations, every little who needs a big can have it. Start something. If it's been a while since you've been involved, start something again. Learn more at bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Running out. According to my calculations, 1 in 5 kids in America struggles with hunger. How can so many children face hunger when there's more than enough food to feed them all? You're right, Barry. We can help solve hunger by teaming up with Feeding America to get food to hungry kids in communities across the country.
Help Flint and the Feeding America network of food banks get food to the people who need it in your community. Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're Feeding America.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, the Diggity Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, and from my man Darren Jaime. Our next guest joins us to give a preview of her bold and authentic one-woman show. We welcome Shauna Solomon to the studio. We welcome you.
Thank you.
Now, we're talking about this this one-woman show. It's called The Closet B. It's a fearless look at the challenges we all face when putting ourselves second.
That's right.
Explain that.
Well, we're all pretty much taught rules in life, you know, these rules that we have to follow in order to be accepted. Well, I had to break those rules in order to live by my own design, you know, so I'm just encouraging everybody to do the same thing, to basically live by your own design, do what you want to make you happy, of course, without hurting other people.
And not what everybody else is trying to get you to do or get you to say or get you to be.
Exactly.
So, but why the name Closet B.I.T. and what does that title mean?
Okay, well, the Closet B, the analogy for the closet is pretty much, you know, the rules that we're taught to follow. So we're set in this closet. We're set to live very restricted because of these rules. But when we come out of the closet, most women, we're called a B.I. ...
B.I.T.
B.I.T.
Yeah.
There you go.
So what are these rules that you're talking about that we are confined to?
The rules, like, they pretty much start out with our parents. You know, you don't wear certain things, or don't speak up to your elders, or don't speak up when something's on your mind, even though you know it's right. But if someone older than you or more established than you is wrong, why can't you?
Yeah. So they want you to stay in your lane until you're old enough to do all these things until you become an adult.
Or period, stay in your lane for the rest of your life. You know, a lot of people, we're taught at a young age to stay in our lanes, and we keep that mindset until we're old and gray.
So you're saying, no, stay in your lane, what?
No.
Think outside the box.
Exactly. Live. Live. Do what you want to do.
So you come up with this one-woman show, or one-woman show. It's a play?
Yes, it's a play.
And give us a quick synopsis about it.
Okay.
Don't tell us the whole thing because we want to go see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a one-woman show. I'm in it. I wrote it. I created it, and I star in it. I play 13 characters. I play my father. Yes. Yes.
You play your father.
I play my father. I play my mother. I play all of the people who I have allowed to hold me back and keep me in the closet and cause me to stay in my lane.
Yes.
So I'm facing all of them.
All right, so don't tell us more about it, but can you reenact some of it using a couple of your characters?
Right now.
I'm going to put you into character right now. Ready?
Okay. Hey, buddy. What's happening, baby? All right. Listen, I need you to do a couple of things for your old pops, okay? I need you to just keep your mouth shut about what goes on in this house. You understand me? Because nobody needs to know about what, not your teachers, not your friends, not your family, nobody else but you and I. It's the family business. All right? All right, give me some skin.
And what character was that?
That's my dad.
That was Dad.
That's my dad.
Dad speaks that way?
Yeah, my dad's a G. He's an old G.
Oh, yeah?
Definitely.
It sounded like he was an OG. Yeah, what's up?
He is. But, you know, that character is, it's based upon a person who is living a certain way, and he needs his daughter to think inside the closet, inside this box, so that he can continue doing what he needs to do.
So who's the one that comes out and says, no, Dad? And what does that sound like? Give me a quickie.
That you will have to come see. Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
I understand. Can you describe a few of these characters?
Sure. I also play my father's mistress. She is, yes, and pretty much everyone is from the Bronx.
Uh-huh.
And it takes place in the Bronx, except for when I moved to corporate America. But I play my father's girlfriend, or mistress, and she's Puerto Rican. And I play
She speaks Spanish?
Yes, she does. So I speak Spanish in the play.
Oh, so you come and give me a quick Spanish thing.
¿Qué tú mirando? That's what you're looking at. What are you looking at?
¿Qué tú haces? 107.5.
Oh, see, now you went. You have limits.
WBLS. But thank you so much.
You're
now,
welcome.
when is your show going to debut? Or has it, debuted already?
It has.
Yeah.
It started February 3rd, and it's running indefinitely at Stage Left Studio.
Ah,
yeah.
The Closet B.
Yes.
Now, you know you're an actress, a screenwriter. Which do you prefer best? What do you like best?
I love acting, but that's a really difficult question because they serve two different purposes.
Yes.
You know, I love performing, I love giving, I love sharing, and I love setting the stage for a fellow actor, you know, listening and responding and allowing them to be great. But for myself, you know, my own creative time to create something that I want to portray or that I want to see somebody else portray, that's amazing.
Yeah, and you're doing the whole thing. You're acting, directing yourself, and you're writing.
Well, actually, the director is Kenneth Williams. He's amazing.
Oh, okay.
He's
Very
absolutely
good.
amazing. But I created it, I wrote it, and I play the 13 characters.
Yeah, and how do you guys work together? You bounce off of one another well?
Yes, very well. Very, very, very well. He's very stern. He's like a sergeant.
He won't let you deviate from anything.
No.
You got to go back and you're coming out a little bit. Go back in.
Oh, he's very on it. He
Yeah.
makes sure that we get through that rehearsal. He makes sure that I weave in and out and flow through characters. There's no shortcut.
What are some of the things you have to do in order to prepare to jump into a character?
I think, first of all, the biggest thing that I do is I always warm up my voice. That's the main thing, my voice and my body. And you got to play. You just got to have fun.
Have fun.
You got to have fun.
Yes, let it all go. Have fun.
Exactly. And I think
Think outside the box.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. And the biggest thing is to know the people. I think that's my advantage. I actually know these people.
Come out of the closet with the B.
That's it.
That's great. When can we see you next?
You can see me next Monday, actually, at 7:30 at
where
Stage
at?
Left Studio. It's on 30th Street between 7th and 8th. Yeah,
And-
down in Manhattan.
And where can we get more information on everything?
Oh,
that
you can go to theclosetb.com.
Oh, now we got to go to the closet. I thought we was trying to come out of the closet.
No, this time you go to the closet. Or you can go to stageleftstudio.net.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
And is there stage what?
Stageleftstudio.net.
Heavens to Murgatroyd. Stage left. How does it go? Mark, how does that go? Heavens to Murgatroyd. Stage left. You said something before that. I don't know. But thank you so much for
You're
joining us.
so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Before you leave, can you give us one more character? Just a touch.
I can sing a little something from...
You sing in there too?
Just a little bit. I can sing...
In Spanish or English?
It's a short bit in Spanish. It's from my father's girlfriend.
Oh, father's girlfriend's getting involved. All right, here we go.
Aguanile, aguanile. And that's it.
Okay, chula.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I
Give her a big
appreciate
round of applause, everybody. The creator, the writer, the Closet Bee, Shannon Solomon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got to take not a break, but I think we're going to wrap everything up right now. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. We had a good time. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee sitting in for Darren Jaime. And Darren, welcome back. You're going to have a great show when you come back. Make sure you tune in and check them out, all right? I'd like to thank our guests for joining us and you, our viewers, for tuning in and checking it all out. If you missed any part of today's show, well, you can catch the Recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Cablevision. Check it out, Channel 67, and Fios, too. Channel 33, or you can watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org, or you can catch an all-new episode Friday with Rena Valentine. Give Rena Valentine a big round of applause. Give our BronxNet people a big round of applause. Thank you all for tuning in and checking it out and being a part of what's happening here. And always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice and let your choice control the chooser. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, right here on BronxNet's Channel 67. Have a great day. Love you all. Peace.